show you today a really neat little kind of trick or hack, if you want to call it that I implemented with ClickUp, because I've noticed when we make automations in a section, it sometimes can be difficult to keep up with, like, okay, what automations did I just make? This is especially if you're on the free plan and you can't make more than one step in one automation. You have to make a separate step for each one, which is totally fine. But you have to be able to keep up with, like, okay, this does this and then this does this. So I wanted to show you that you can use the MindMap view in your workspace or your space to kind of keep track of what your automations do and when they're supposed to trigger. So for example, this is our SOP database, and I have in here a couple of SOPs. We're still building it out. I'm actually moving it over from Notion, so I've only done a few at a time. I've done a few so far, but what I want to happen is when we have once the SOPs hit like 6 months old, I want them to pop up for me to like revisit them and make sure that they're still current, relevant, all of that. Like, is it an app we still use? Do we need this anymore? That kind of thing. So I've set up some dates and published dates over here. And then what I did was I set up automations to trigger those at certain times. So in the automation section, you'll see here that we have like when the task is created, apply a template. So that applies the template that I use to write the automations out, which I can show you that in another video. And then we have when the status changes, change the due date. So this one goes from when it goes from to do to active, meaning I've written it and now it's an active SOP, then change the due date to 173 days. So that's just shy of 6 months. It's a week shy of 6 months from now, so that it pops back up in my list of things to do so that I can, check it out again. And then the next one is that when that due date arrives, change the start date. And what this does is it actually adds it to my to-do list so I can see it. And then when the due date arrives, change the status. It will also take it out of monitoring or active and put it into the audit status. So then it flags it for me. So it'll show up in my to-do list, adds me as a assignee. So it shows up in my list, and then I can, I know then that I need to, within that week, check it out and see if we still need it. So this is only got 4 automations, so it's not that bad. But what I started doing with some of our other ones that are a little more complicated is doing a mind map. And this is super easy to set up, and you just click to add a view, and then you can choose to add the mind map. And I can't see because of my light. There we go. Add a view, and then you choose what kind of one that you want to do, and we just did mind map. And then you just start by saying what happens. So our first one that happens when we first create a task in this section is to create or to apply the SOP template. And then the next one is when the status changes from to do to active. So like I said, I've written it and it's ready to go. Then it goes to, changes the due date to 6 months out. And then it changes this published status, published date to actual 6 months out, which is like a custom date that I added. And then once the due date arrives, so the 173 days, it changes the start date and then changes it to audit. And that way I know it just kind of lines out exactly what those automations are supposed to do. So if I'm in there, I need to, something's not working, I can figure out which step it is easily without having to click in and out of all of these automations every time. Because I mean, you can add descriptions here, which I recommend doing, which I didn't do, but it's still sometimes easier just to see it kind of all lined out. So that's it for this one. I just wanted to show you that real quick because I thought that was a really great way and to keep track of that, and you can do it right in the same space. So this is just in our SOP database. So this is the only one that this applies to, and it's right there if we need it to check anything out or work on anything. So I hope you found this helpful, and I'll see you next time.